Alright everybody, today on the channel we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I've seen so many people attack the fantasy booking or rebooking aspects of the professional wrestling YouTube community. Whether it's WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, AEW, anything you could think of. There's been fantasy booking or rebooking videos out there by some great YouTubers and some great content creators. I think the best rebooker or fantasy booker is Adam Blompied, former What Culture Pro Wrestling, now Parts Fun known. You know who I'm talking about. If you watch professional wrestling fantasy booking videos like this video is going to be, then you know exactly who I'm talking about. And I was trying to think of different, storylines we could attack on this channel, and I think the first and best one to start off with is going to be The Fiend, Bray Wyatt's return to the WWE. Now, The Fiend / Bray Wyatt is I feel like criminally underrated character, maybe overrated in certain aspects, but it's definitely a character that was held down under the almighty fist and almighty force of Vincent Kennedy McMahon. But now with Triple H in charge, who is a huge fan of Bray Wyatt and his creative genius, as he's called it, I feel like we're very close to getting a return for him. And it could be the White Rabbit song that plays throughout the arenas during commercial breaks and after shows or before shows, during intermissions, and, just recently got showed on WWE this past week. But a lot of people believe that could also be related to a repackaging of sorts for Karrion Kross, aka Killer Kross, and his White Rabbit gimmick from Lucha Underground. But either way, I think that this is a great place to start for a fantasy booking journey on this YouTube channel. And if this video does well, and if you guys enjoy my fantasy booking for The Fiend / Bray Wyatt's WWE return, then I'm going to need you to smack the like button, I should say, subscribe, leave a comment, and send this to any pro wrestling fan or Bray Wyatt or Fiend fan that you know. Because we're going to get it started, and we're going to get it started right about now. So we're going to kick it off at the Royal Rumble 2023. You could technically start this whenever you want. Maybe you kick it off after Survivor Series. Maybe you kick it off at the Royal Rumble. Maybe you kick it off in the upcoming weeks of WWE television with the current timeline. But I think the best way to kick off the booking, or long-term booking, I should say, for The Fiend, Bray Wyatt's WWE return is to start off at the first stop on the road to WrestleMania at the Royal Rumble 2023. So we're going to start off in the main event, the Royal Rumble match. And the final four of the 2023 Royal Rumble in my booking are Seth Rollins, Johnny Gargano, the current Intercontinental Champion, Gunther, and the returning American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. I think that this is a perfect final four to base your Royal Rumble around. You have the feud that is going to definitely continue once Rhodes returns to the WWE and Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins. And you have a Triple H guy in Johnny Gargano getting his shine in the main event of the show, where he doesn't have to win, but he could be the 2023 Iron Man of the Royal Rumble. And then you have Gunther, who's a big powerhouse, a brute, but a very solid technical wrestler for his size. So I think you have a bit of a mix of everything with these final four. Now, from these final four, the final two in the Royal Rumble, which I'm sure you could guess, I'll give you a second, are going to be Seth Rollins and the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. I mean, obviously, you really can't go with any other people for a final two. Cody Rhodes' return, he's going to have that bad blood with Seth Rollins. And we're going to get into more of that the longer we get into this fantasy booking. But the final two for the Royal Rumble are Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. And the winner of the 2023 Royal Rumble, drum roll please, is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. And also on that show, Roman Reigns defends his WWE Undisputed Universal Championship against both Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and he defends successfully. So at the end of the night, the WWE Undisputed Universal Champion is still the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, and the winner of the Royal Rumble is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, the returning American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. To continue down the road to WrestleMania, the next night on Monday Night Raw, the winner of the Royal Rumble in Cody Rhodes comes out to address the crowd. He came out to announce that he returned at last year's WrestleMania and defeated Seth Rollins. And now, a year later, in his second return to the company, he will win his first World Championship in the WWE. As Cody's cutting this promo, Seth Rollins comes out and he's fuming. He's completely pissed off and believes that he should have won the Royal Rumble. He comes out and says, "You may have your ticket punched to the grandest stage of them all, but I still left you laid out and broken the last time we saw you here on Monday nights. You may claim to be the American Nightmare, but Cody, I am your worst nightmare." Just as Seth Rollins says this, the lights go out. We hear the laughter of children throughout the arena, and when the lights come back on, one singular white rabbit sits in a cage in the center of the ring. Seth and Cody look at each other confused, wondering what this is, who this is a message from, and what this could mean. But just as they begin to fade off into a dream world, Cody lays out Seth Rollins with a crossroads to close out this episode of Monday Night Raw. But who was that white rabbit really referring to? The following week on Monday Night Raw, the main event is a bout between the American Nightmare and the phenomenal AJ Styles. The match goes back and forth until Cody is able to reverse the reverse springboard DDT of AJ Styles, where he flings off the ropes, does that backflip, and does that reverse DDT. He did it a lot more in Impact than he has in WWE. He reverses that into a crossroads, and just as Styles hits the mat on the impact of the finisher, the lights go out once again. During the blackout, you hear a slow, demonic, druid-style hymn. I'll insert it here. And at the end, the voices say, "Ashes to ashes and dust to dust." And as the lights come back on, Cody Rhodes is standing in the center of the ring. However, placed next to his feet is a pair of golden gloves with a black star connected between the two on the palm. Gloves eerily similar to his last gimmick in the WWE before he left, in Stardust. As Cody looks up all confused and wondering what this message really means, boom! AJ Styles connects with a phenomenal forearm off the ropes and pins Cody Rhodes 1, 2, 3. Cody Rhodes suffers his first pinfall defeat since returning to the WWE. The following week on Monday Night Raw, Cody Rhodes comes out with a slight look of fear and confusion on his face. He grabs the microphone and states, "I don't really know how to process the events of last week, but I can't let it keep me from looking towards my goal. My goal of being world champion at WrestleMania 39. So here's my proposition. At the upcoming WWE Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, I'm willing to put my WrestleMania spot on the line inside the Elimination Chamber." The crowd erupts. Everybody's kind of confused, like, why? You already won your spot at the at WrestleMania. You have the main event spot. Why are you doing this? And Cody says, "It's not because I have to, but because I am at the top of my game. Because I am the top dog here on Raw, and because I am the American Nightmare trying to realize my American dream at WrestleMania." A couple weeks later on Monday Night Raw, probably the following week, the Chamber participants are announced. From Monday Night Raw, you have the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes, Seth freaking Rollins, and former Legacy teammate in Randy Orton. And from SmackDown, you have Gunther, Karrion Kross, and Shinsuke Nakamura. So Rhodes, Orton, Rollins, Gunther, Kross, and Nakamura all competing in the Elimination Chamber while Rhodes tries to defend his WrestleMania spot. Not because he needs to, but because he believes he's the top dog on Monday Night Raw and in the WWE. When you get to the Elimination Chamber, the final two participants are former Legacy teammates in Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. I feel like this just writes itself. The fans want to see Cody and Randy, have a feud, whether it's over a world title or not. And I feel like in the Elimination Chamber, as the final two participants, it writes itself. There's really no explanation needed. Both men compete and go reversal for reversal, RKO into crossroads, etc., etc., but nobody is able to land their finisher because of how well scouted each man has their opponent, I should say. Orton catches Rhodes in the scoop slam off the ropes as Rhodes springboards and lines him up for a punt kick in the corner, a kick which has taken out many of men and ended many of careers. Just as Randy Orton runs from the corner and goes to punt Cody Rhodes, the lights go out again. This is getting out of hand. Everybody's like, oh my god, again, like, who is this? I thought this was over with. Again, you can hear the laughter of children, but this time the laughter changes into the dark, distorted voice of a man. However, it's dubbed over, so you can't really tell who's speaking. The voice says,
"You can slither with the snakes, or you can look upon the stars. A legacy fallen, former brothers in arm. Run."
The crowd erupts as the lights come back on. Orton is laid out in the center of the ring. Rhodes again wakes up groggy, but he looks on in terror. Like, do I even go for a pinfall? What do I do? He picks up Randy Orton, the prone, limp body of Orton, and hits a crossroads. 1, 2, 3. Cody Rhodes is going to WrestleMania to face Roman Reigns. It's official. However, the mystery is still not solved of who's behind these attacks. And as we continue, we'll definitely get to that answer. In the weeks leading up to the WrestleMania main event, more blackouts and different color light flashes go on periodically throughout the arena. The mind games continue. One week, it's videos of a burning house in the woods. The next week, it's a shadowy figure walking throughout a swamp. Then, it's children laughing with rainbows and a house behind them in the distance as music continues to play. Bright, colorful, happy music. This really doesn't make any sense, and it's quite twisted and demented. But, as you know what we're trying to book here, it makes a lot of sense. All while Rhodes is trying to focus on his WrestleMania match, which now feels bigger than ever. I mean, he just doesn't know where to look, but he knows he has to keep his eyes on the prize, as he talked about earlier. In the weeks leading up to Mania, Rhodes takes on the likes of Chad Gable, Johnny Gargano, and Mustafa Ali, and even battles the Usos in a 2-on-1 handicap main event as we get closer to the grandest stage of them all. He beats everybody. However, the matches are all grueling technical battles. Ali, grueling technical battle. Gargano, technical battle. Chad Gable, brutal technical match. 10 to 15 minutes, 20 minutes sometimes. He's really going to prove why he is the top guy in the WWE and why he can take out the head of the table and the big dog in Roman Reigns. All the matches are grueling and technical, aside from the handicap match with the Usos, which is basically a brawl because the match never officially gets going. Right as the bell rings, the Bloodline and Roman Reigns attack Cody Rhodes. They all come in, ambush him as Paul Heyman looks on. Cody ends up winning by DQ, so he did win the match. However, it's not exactly how he wanted, and they were just trying to soften him up for the Tribal Chief at WrestleMania. On the final SmackDown before WrestleMania, Cody Rhodes battles the newest member of the Bloodline in Solo Sikoa. However, it's not a normal match, it's a street fight. The new young gun of the Bloodline taking on the American Nightmare, who will challenge their Tribal Chief at Mania. During the match, Cody Rhodes is able to move out of the way of the splash from the top rope from Solo Sikoa, hit a disaster kick off the ropes as he springboards, and then line up Sikoa for a crossroads. As he goes to connect with the move, boom, the lights go out again. They come back on after the screech of the Fiend echoes throughout the arena. The lights come back on as Rhodes is locked in a move which looks like a Sister Abigail. However, or Sister Abigail I should say, since I can't speak right now. The figure in the ring has his head down, and we can't really make it out, as it's just one singular light shining down in the middle of the ring, while the rest of the arena is blacked out, aside from the lights on fans' cell phones going throughout the arena. However, we do realize that this character is sporting a Hawaiian-style flannel button-up and a white or straw fedora hat. Very similar, or I should say eerily similar, to Bray Wyatt's original gimmick. As the light is restored, boom, Cody is hit with the Sister Abigail. Or I should say he's hit with the Sister Abigail, and then the lights come back on. As the lights come back on, Solo Sikoa climbs up to the top rope, and boom, hits that splash and pins Cody Rhodes 1, 2, 3. Cody's second pinfall loss comes at the hands of a member of the Bloodline. The ball is in the court of the reigning, defending, undisputed WWE Universal Champion heading in to this weekend's WrestleMania. It is now night 2 of WrestleMania 39, and the main event of the evening is upon us. The American Nightmare Cody Rhodes versus the Tribal Chief and the head of the table in Roman Reigns for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. The end of the WrestleMania 39 main event comes as Roman Reigns gets a spear countered into a kick to the face and a drop-down signature uppercut from Cody Rhodes. Reigns is stunned and he wobbles into the ropes and comes off the ropes with a countered Superman punch, or countering with a Superman punch. However, he gets the punch countered into a crossroads. 1, 2, Roman Reigns kicks out. Rhodes lifts him up and goes for another crossroads. However, Reigns is able to reverse it and jump into his famous and deadly guillotine choke. Cody fights but slowly is fading away. The American Nightmare is becoming just that, a nightmare. His arm is down once. His arm is down twice. The ref lifts it for a third, but not a third. The American Nightmare finds one more burst of energy and counters the guillotine into a signature Alabama Slamma. Reigns gets up and gets hit with a disaster kick off the ropes, another disaster kick off another corner of the ring, another disaster kick off a third corner of the ring, until he falls limp into the chest of Cody Rhodes. Cody lifts him up and does the Peekaboo Stardust taunt and hits a massive crossroads and floats over into the cover for the 1, 2, 3. Cody Rhodes has defeated Roman Reigns, handed him his first loss in the WWE, first pinfall loss in over 2 years, and now he holds the gold. The American Nightmare has realized his American dream. 2 years back to back, 2 massive WrestleMania main event wins over Seth Rollins and Roman freaking Reigns. Cody is celebrating in the ring with the titles until the lights go out again. Almost as if the joy Cody feels has blinded him from his impending doom. The screams of the Fiend, laughs of the male figure, and children's laughter echo all throughout the arena, all conjunctifying and coagulating with each other, creating a concoction of madness that Cody Rhodes can't even seem to get a hold of. However, this time we hear a single female voice say something a little bit different. She states,
"Smoke and mirrors can't hide your true self, Cody. The act of a man trying to hide his darkness under shades of light. The end is upon us, man."
A singular white light again shines in the middle of the ring as a female with long, dark hair completely covering her face stands there motionless. Not a single movement. Cody puts the belts down and approaches this figure slowly. Just gets within arm's reach, and then boom, the lights go out again. But as they come back on this time, standing in the middle of the ring now is the returning Bray Wyatt, aka The Fiend. However, he looks a little bit different this time around. The new Fiend mask is more charred, distorted and scarred. It's almost like there are multiple scars that have formed over the original formation and face of the Fiend. There is cuts, scars, bruises, everything you can think of all over the Fiend's face. And on the corner of its mouth, both corners of its mouth, there are heavy amounts of coagulated blood. Scarring, bruises, cuts, and blood coming out of the mouth of the Fiend, almost to signify that through all of the Fiend and Bray Wyatt's bad creative, through being held down by creative and held down by people who didn't know how to handle the Fiend, he had been held in captivity for too long, is basically what this design means. And now it's feeding time for Bray Wyatt. He looks at Cody and locks him in the mandible claw just like that. Then he hits the sister Abigail, which is very similar to the way that the Crossroads is set up. Just kind of reversed. It's basically a front-facing facebuster instead of a reverse spinning facebuster, but very, very similar in the way that the moves are set up. And he lays out Cody Rhodes in the center of the ring. In the coming weeks on Monday Night Raw, the female figure is revealed to be none other than NXT standout and alternative character in Shotzi Blackheart. I think Blackheart is a perfect idea to use for a Sister Abigail style of character to walk around with this new Fiend. I know you could do Alexa Bliss and it would make sense since they already have the backstory, but I think if you want to change it up and make it completely different creatively, I think Shotzi Blackheart is the best option to replace Alexa Bliss as like the Sister Abigail to the Fiend. At the next pay-per-view, which is going to be the returning Judgment Day from the Ruthless Aggression era, Cody battles the Fiend in a non-title match. So no titles are on the line. I don't think the Fiend needs a championship. I don't think that the character needs a title at all. So Cody is not defending his belts. But he battles the Fiend Bray Wyatt in a main event Texas bull rope match. And the Fiend defeats the WWE Undisputed Universal Champion. Now, he didn't win the title, so it's a loss for Cody Rhodes, but Rhodes is still the champion. I know a lot of people may not agree with that. Why are you going to beat the champion? It's going to make him look weak. He already lost, whatever. He lost in his first match back as the champion, or first pay-per-view match, as the champion. And I understand, and maybe you don't do it exactly that way, but with the Texas bull rope style of match, shades of Dusty Rhodes, Blackjack Mulligan, all that stuff, I feel like it works. So we're going to do that. And the Fiend is going to defeat Cody. Now, he's not going to squash him, but he's going to beat him in just an all-out fight. Following this, Cody relinquishes the Universal title back to SmackDown. They can run a tournament for whoever the champion is going to be in the coming weeks. They can do a Beat the Clock challenge. They can do a King of the Ring for the Universal title, however they want to do it. And on Monday Night Raw, Cody Rhodes takes the WWE Championship design and relinquishes it. He changes it. He retires the WWE Championship design in favor of the returning WCW style and Ruthless Aggression staple in the World Heavyweight Championship. And you know that everybody who has these run-ins with the Fiend before would eventually slowly become a different version of themselves. And a lot of the time he's battling faces, so they would turn heel. And over the coming weeks, Cody would become more and more heel. He would use more and more dastardly deeds to win his matches. And eventually he would go on a run as the World Heavyweight Champion on Monday Night Raw as a heel American Nightmare until he would go on to lose that championship. But there it is. That's the way I would do it. That's how I would book The Fiend Bray Wyatt's WWE return in 2023. Let me know if you guys liked it. Let me know if there's any aspects of the story that you guys would change. Let me know if there's any storylines, in the past that you want me to rebook, any storylines that could happen in the future that you'd like me to fantasy book. I'm basically open for everything, so leave suggestions in the comments. Get this video out to anybody you know who's a fan of professional wrestling, a fan of fantasy booking, a fan of Adam Blompied's fantasy booking, the fantasy booking warfare videos. Noah Nation is a pretty good fantasy booker. I've watched a couple of his videos, so get this out to Noah Nation too if you can. Don't forget to hit a mandible claw or lock a mandible claw on the like button and hit a Sister Abigail on the subscribe button. I'm your host, Double M, and I'm out. Have a good night, everybody, alright?